Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Be a Better You podcast. I have a really special guest today that I'm super excited to bring on to share something really different. Now, this is something that I actually am very, very personally interested in, and I think probably a lot of you are too. And I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself so I don't get the way that you say your name incorrectly and like who you are, what you do, and how you help people. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Maelle, but online I use the name Oneiraya, which means dreams and queen. So it's like queen of dreams.
Oh, I love that.
And so I help people reconnect to their inner guidance through dream work. So they stop constantly seeking answers outside of themselves and start trusting themselves. And I also help people going through awakenings and people who have vivid or recurring dreams. Um, yeah, so I
I love
mostly
that.
do work with dreams.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's why I brought you on because I thought
Yeah.
this could be a really, really interesting conversation because I had a one podcast, I can't remember the number of it, way back about nightmares disrupting your sleep. And this happens to a lot of people who've been emotionally abused. And my podcast centers on supporting women and other people who don't identify as women, but pretty much anybody who has been emotionally abused, physically abused, any kind of abuse that they've experienced using the subconscious mind. And I know that the subconscious mind communicates through those dreams. So if the nightmares are coming up, then I want to be able to support the people in my audience. So before we get into all the juicy details and all the fun stuff with dreams, could you give us a little background about you and like how you got into this? Like, was there some sort of spark or situation? What led you to being able to support people with this inner guidance for themselves?
So I started having very vivid dreams about 4 or 5 years ago when I was going through an awakening. But I wasn't yet really paying attention to them. I was writing them down. I was curious, and everyone was telling me, wow, your dreams are amazing. But it wasn't quite yet what made me lead to try to understand them. But what led me to it was about 2 years ago. I started having recurring nightmares every night, and they were very traumatic nightmares. I would wake up crying, and I would have nightmares several times in a row. I couldn't sleep, and it was disrupting even my day. It was really overwhelming, and I sought for help. I found a hypnotherapist, and she really helped me, but I still wanted to understand what my dreams meant because they felt so meaningful. So although this hypnotherapy was helping me mentally, it felt like I needed to know more. And then one night, um, during that time, I kept being woken up feeling like I needed to find some books. So I would start looking for books at 3 a.m. and I would find books that were very relevant to me. It felt very serendipitous, you know. And there is that one night I found this book, The Inner World of Trauma by Donald Kalshed. And every time I would open the book at night at 3 a.m., it would talk exactly about my dream. And it felt, wow, it's explaining my dreams. And this book, it's about nightmares and trauma. And it made me realize, okay, I'm having these nightmares because I have some kind of trauma. And from there, I became really passionate about understanding dreams. And I discovered more books. And I was led to read books about depth psychology, transpersonal psychology. I became more passionate. And a whole new world opened to me as if the universe was telling me, go with dreams. Dream Expert would start follow me, even though I barely posted things, and I met more people and community in Dreamwork, and felt as if it was flowing because I was someone that always worked on my own, that always struggled to have communities, and suddenly I was finding people and meeting amazing people. So it changed my life in that way.
Ah,
And I became even more passionate, learn more. And so that's how I started to work with people to help them with their dreams. And that's
yeah.
still very new. I first started as more spiritual guide and coaching. And the dream work part is more recent, but it's the one I'm even more passionate about.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a really interesting story. I love hearing how people get where they are. Like, what were the things that happened to you? And you have realized that you had some trauma. And so people who are listening can relate to that. And we don't
Yeah.
need to obviously go into all of that, but I think the thing that I'd love to understand and have you explain is when you are experiencing like a recurring, whether it's a nightmare or whether it's just like a theme that just keeps coming up and you keep, having these same dreams. Is it your opinion or thought or maybe understanding that the subconscious is communicating with you?
Oh, yes, definitely. It, I especially understood that because of the book and how Donald Kalshad was explaining that it was the way he talks about these nightmares is as if there is a part of you that's both a protector and a persecutor. And they both protect you and yeah, attack you, especially if you're changing your life and having some kind of hope. So that's what was happening to me is I started to have hope because I met a partner that was very healthy, and before I was in very unhealthy relationships my whole life. And when I met my partner who was amazing and healthy, bam, the nightmare started. And so I understood it was my unconscious trying to protect me,
Mhm.
but I also think it happened because I was starting to feel more safe. So I was in a place where I was able to confront the unconscious trauma. And it felt, in a sense, guided because I was receiving these books that I could read, that I could understand myself more. So it felt special and that there was something guiding me and helping me
Mhm.
unconsciously. Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about it like that, but it is very it's supportive because when you think about it, your mind is trying to clue you in on something. It's trying to
Yeah,
tell you something important or valuable, like, hey, pay attention to this.
exactly.
I've told my clients before if they're having nightmares or dreams to pay attention, like get a journal, a dream journal, pay attention to the themes that come up. So, are
Yes.
you feeling afraid a lot? Are you running away from something a lot? Is something attacking you? Are you seeing the same type of flower every time? Like, what is it that's coming up? Would you agree that that's something to pay attention to?
Oh, yes, definitely the patterns that we see, it to me, that's our unconscious saying, pay attention to this. And if it keeps coming back, it means we really need to look into it. And with my nightmares, I didn't want to look at them at
Mhm.
first. But then as I started looking, I realized, oh, it is important. And there are ways to work with dreams, like you can really understand your patterns and it helps you to change them. So I love that you say that to your clients because it's absolutely true to me.
Yeah. I love patterns for sure. That's something that I'm always talking about, like even in daily life with people, human beings, your own patterns, but even in dreams, like why would we not take a look at those things? So, are there any common kinds of dreams that you've noticed that a lot of people either come to you to talk about or that you hear about, that maybe some of our listeners could relate to?
Mm. I see a lot of people often asking about exes coming through dreams. And I always see people asking, even online, what does it mean that I keep seeing this person that I haven't talked in a long time? And personally, I don't want to make any generality about any dreams because I don't believe one symbol means the same thing for everybody. So it's something that's more to be looked personally. But that's one that I see a lot. And to me, it is meaningful. If we see someone that comes from the past, it means something, but it's not. A lot of people say it's about this person, maybe I need to contact them or something like that, but it doesn't have to be because a lot of times the people we see in our dreams are a representation of parts of us.
Mhm.
And again, there's no generality. Sometimes it can be about the person, maybe we have something to resolve with them, but a lot of time it's a part of us that is trying to get attention.
Yeah, I love that. I'm glad you brought that up too, because I think I've heard that too, where people will say, "Oh, my ex keeps showing up in my dreams. That must mean we're meant to be, or we need to be together because they keep
Right.
visiting me." And I'm like, not always. And then the other thing is like what you said about how the symbols don't mean the same thing for everyone, which is really true because for some cultures, certain symbols might mean good luck, where in other cultures it might mean something totally different. So you
Exactly.
can't just broad brush it. I find that, at least for me, I try to think about what is it trying to say, or what does it mean to me, right? Because if I dream of
Yes.
snow, but the context of the dream is scary, like snow can symbolize purity and cleansing, but
Mhm.
if the context is like a avalanche or something, right, then it might not be that. If it's like twinkling snow falling down on me when I'm relaxed, then obviously taking the whole context of the entire dream into account, I think is important, don't you?
Yeah, I totally agree because we all have a different relationship to different symbols. A snake can be scary for someone, and for someone else, it's a symbol of transformation. So we really have to take into account the person's history. So I agree with you.
Yeah. Oh, I love that when you brought up the snake, because I absolutely love spiders. Like, maybe people don't know that about me, but I think spiders are the coolest. Like, they can make webs, and they're like they can create things like just right from their bodies, and I just think they're the way that they are just so cool. Like, I don't want to like be in like a room with a bunch of spiders, but I just think they're pretty cool. So if I dreamed about a spider and it was, a happy dream, it would, to me, mean something totally different than somebody who's like terrified of them, because I know that a lot of people have a great fear of that kind of thing. So it
Yeah, I
depends on the
personally
person.
have a lot of nightmares with spiders, so
You
it
do.
would be different for me.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, a spider, look, it's bringing me good luck. And where you're like, like
Yeah,
this is not the dream I want to be in today.
exactly.
Good. Okay. So what about, are there other things like water, coming up in a dream, like whether the water is like a smooth lake versus, I don't know, a thunderstorm, or like, what do you think about those kinds of things? Are there certain symbols or things that come up in dreams that are clues to something else?
I do find, for example, with water, to me, a lot of time I relate it to emotion. So I think it's okay to sometimes also use more archetypal symbols to understand our dreams. But with modern dream work, what we do is we go into the dream and feel the energy of the symbols rather than try to interpret it from a more mental level. We work with its energy. So if you imagine yourself back into the dream and feel yourself in as the water, for example, you can feel, do I feel calm? Do I feel emotional? Do I feel agitated? If I am this water, how am I? Who am I? And we can even dialogue with this water and ask it questions about what it wants to tell us, how it wants to guide us, even what does it want for us. So that's how we can interact with the symbols that
Okay.
come up.
So would you do that, like, for instance, after you had the dream, if especially, if you could remember the dream, then would you go into like a meditation or something and like kind of revisit that and dialogue with it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
So you imagine yourself back in the dream, you let the image come to you, you feel the atmosphere and your emotions, because emotions are so important in the dream. They are very good compass to what the dream could be about. And then letting the image come, and you can imagine yourself as the people or as the symbol, and that helps you get a sense of its meaning. So yeah, in this meditative state.
Yeah, okay, I love that. What do you say to people who say, I don't dream, I never dream, I can't dream? What do you say to that?
I say you can dream. It just they need um to me, I see them as little wild animals. If you don't pay attention to them, they'll just run away. They won't care. But maybe when you start feeding them a bit of water and food, they will start to pay more attention to you or your garden because they'll be like, hey, there's food over there. So I see dreams like that. If we pay more attention to them, if we try to invite them into our lives, they tend to come more and more. So one technique that I find useful is before bed, setting an intention and maybe repeating in our mind, I would like to wake up and remember my dream. And then in the morning, writing the dream if we had one, and if we didn't, just writing, I didn't remember my dream this time. But there's a lot of little techniques that we can do for people to remember their dream. So it's never something impossible to do. We can
Yeah.
even work with daydream images. It's not something I've done personally, but I know people who do it. So they just invite their client to let images come to them, and that counts as dreams too, because the imagination and dreams come from the same
Yeah,
place.
yeah. I love that. I've actually done some work with that with myself and with clients too when they're
Mm,
struggling with certain emotions and that let's say that the feeling is like something in their throat, for instance, and they're
yeah,
having like a sensation in the throat, like maybe they want to cry or it's like a stone or something in there. And then I ask them to visualize what that is. What is coming up for you? What does it look like? What does it sound like? Is there some sort of texture or whatever, and then that is created by the mind, right? And then they're like, oh, it's like a spiky rock, right? Or something like
yeah.
that. Okay, and then like you said, well, what does it want to tell you? What is it trying to do? Like, what is the purpose of it? And kind of taking it from that angle too. So
Yeah, that's exactly how I work as well. So I love your approach.
I love that. I love that. I think it's really helpful to just allow your subconscious mind to share with you because truly inside of
Yes,
you is you have all the answers. Like you are the guide, the like ultimate guidance of your life. So a lot of people think that there's something else outside of them that's controlling it, but it's not. It's what's going on inside of you. That's what I think.
exactly. I agree with you. And I think that's why I love dreams so much because it helps people coming back to their own inner guidance rather than try to seek it externally. So,
Yeah,
mm.
that's beautiful. And that's what you said at the beginning, like your own inner guidance, trusting yourself, the awakenings, and things like that. So, okay, let me think what other questions that I have, because I've loved dreams since I was a little girl.
Uh,
I used to dream very, very, very vividly, very,
mm,
very vividly, and colors and shapes and emotions and textures so I had dream books and things that would help me understand what was going on in my dreams. So I've always been a huge dream person, and I dream every night pretty much, like
wow.
without fail. So this like people who say I don't dream, like I love the tips that you gave because what you're doing is you're priming your mind. You're saying
Yeah,
this is the intention, and then if you continue to do that over time, like you said, you're kind of watering the garden and allowing it for the dreams to come in. So great, great tip for that because I know some people are like, I'd like to be able to dream, but I wake up in the morning. Now, I will say, like, I don't know why, but sometimes I'll have a really vivid dream and I'm like, oh, this has a lot of symbolism in it. Like, and as soon as
mm,
I wake up, it starts fading away. It's like, no, I want
yeah.
to grab you. Like, don't go away. But if I have to get up and go to the restroom in the night or something like that, then it's like the brain like category. I don't know if it like sticks it somewhere else and then I can't find it. But then this is
Mm,
weird. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but then I might have that dream come up later in another night, like that same dream.
mm.
I think isn't
The
that
exact
probably
same
important?
one.
Yes, and like
Wow.
start paying attention to that because that probably means something if it's the same dream that's come up that I forgot. And I was like, "Oh, that's the dream that I forgot." And it came back.
Well, I've had a lot of experiences with dream, but not this one. It feels so
Really?
special, and definitely it means they don't want you to forget it.
Yeah, I need to pay attention because it can't, you forgot it. You need to go back and find that. Here it is. Pay attention. Okay. So
Mm,
clearly I need to get a dream journal out and leave it by my bed.
yes, I think it's the
Um,
sign.
okay. What is something surprising that you've learned throughout your journey and supporting other people about the DreamWorks stuff that you do? If you've been listening to this podcast and something in you keeps nodding along week after week, well, that's not random. It's your intuition nudging you that there's something deeper here for you. I offer a free root cause call to help you uncover what's really behind your subconscious patterns, the self doubt, the overthinking, the emotional pain that really never lets go. And in this private one on one call, I help you get clarity on the real reason that you're stuck and what your next best steps forward could look like, whether that's with me or another path that fits you better. So, if my episodes speak to your soul, there's probably a reason. Follow the nudge, and you can schedule your free root cause call with me in the show notes. And now we'll get back to your episode.
I think, well, what always surprises me is just how much people have within themselves,
Mm.
even if, because when I arrive in a session, well, whether it's for my dream or people's dream, there's always this a bit of fear of what if we don't receive any guidance from the dream? What if we don't understand it? But it taught me to trust the process.
Mm.
And I think there's always gonna be this fear, even if I trust the process. But whether it's for myself or with clients, I always see the shift happening and as if we are guided by the dream itself. And I guess what I learned is to trust the dream and to trust people working with the dream. And I think both me and the clients always get surprised by what come through just
Mhm.
by listening to our body, our images.
Mhm.
And I think that's what surprised me is how much our imaginal world is so
Mhm.
alive.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Okay, I want to ask you about this because I have never been able to do this, even though I would love to be able to do it. Maybe you have, maybe you know people who have. Lucid dreaming. I never know that I'm dreaming. I'm always just in the movie. It's just playing out. I am literally along for the ride and I have no clue that I'm dreaming. So I would love to be able to like, oh, hey, I'm in the middle of my dream. Like I could change this. I don't like this. I want to like what do you think about that? I'm just curious.
So lucid dreaming is not something I really specialize or learn about yet because it's not something I have experienced a lot myself. Although I have tried two times and I did end up having a lucid dream. So I see it's possible to train it, but it's very difficult. And for some people, it happens spontaneously and naturally. I've seen people who have had lucid dream since they were children. And for some people, even if you try really hard, it just doesn't happen. So I
Like,
guess it's a skill that can be trained
yeah,
possibly for
yeah.
some, and for some, it can't be trained. But personally, when I've had a lucid dream, I can't say I mean, it's nice, and I know you can do a lot of work with lucid dreams, but there's something I really like about a dream that is completely from your unconscious that you can't control because I can control my real life. I mean, to
Mhm.
some extent, I
Yeah.
can make choices, but my unconscious, it's things that I don't know about myself, and there's a complete unknown there that I personally love.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I don't know that much about lucid dreams
Mhm.
yet,
Yeah.
but I am curious to learn about it more in the
Yeah.
future.
Well, I like that perspective as well because I feel like I enjoy that too. It's like, what am I going to find out tonight when I go to sleep?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of dream am I going to have? I actually look forward to it. But there are times that if it's like I'm being chased or I'm being attacked or
Mm.
something like that, that I don't want to be participating in. I want to be able to like control that. Like, oh, my phone isn't working. Like I have this recurring dream all the time that my phone isn't working. So I'll like try to type in the number that I'm trying to call and like the numbers will start scrambling or that oh, I can't get it right and it will not get the number right no matter what. So it's like if I could figure out like, oh, you're just dreaming, like you can get the numbers to work, like work it out yourself. But I've never, ever, not one time, and I have tried and I have practiced getting into a lucid dream state with different techniques and stuff, and it just has never happened for me. Not ever. So,
Yeah, it can be difficult, but it's true that with lucid dream you can change your dream, like you said, and that can have so many therapeutic use, especially for nightmares or bad
mhm.
dreams. However, if you don't have lucid dreams, you can still work to change your dreams, especially if you have a recurring dream like you,
Yeah.
is to relive the dream and change what you want to change in your mind with your imagination in your waking life.
Oh,
You put yourself back in the dream and you think, okay, what would I like to be doing different next time? And you can even re-enter the dream. So when you wake up from a dream, and so I've done that before. I had a nightmare and I was very curious, what does it mean? And it was a very disturbing one.
mhm.
So when I woke up, I just imagined that I really wanted to have an answer in the next dream. I wanted to re-enter the same dream and understand what it meant. And when I slept again, I did re-enter the same dream and it continued and I had further information. So you can ask like that to re-enter the dream and change it or receive answer. And that's what I did in my dream. I think because it was a very scary dream, I decided to change it so it wouldn't be as scary. And when I dreamed again, it wasn't as scary. So it's something you can do even if you don't become lucid. You can change the dream.
Oh, I wish I had thought of that because that sounds so simple. And many times I've had these dreams and like I feel so either like incapacitated or
Hmm,
powerless or something like that, especially those dreams where I like need to call someone or I need to get somewhere and like the car's not working or the steering wheel's not on the car, like whatever weird things that are happening. And then if I could recreate that in the way that I need, then the next time, hopefully, then that I start. Well, and that makes a lot of sense because it's similar to how like the work I do is with the subconscious mind. So, and I
hmm,
help people reprogram their minds. So, with repetition, right, and consistency, you start shifting your beliefs. So, it makes a lot of
exactly.
sense in this way that with repetition and consistency, you start to change that program even subconsciously too.
Exactly. I think there is a theory that you will love actually. There's a specialist in dreams that I love his work. His name is Dr. Sparrow, and he developed this theory that we are co-creator of the dream, which means, a lot of time we imagine the dreams just come to us and we can't do about anything about it. But actually, for Dr. Sparrow, we receive images to which we react, and our reaction changes the course of the dream. The images change depending of how we decide to act in the dream. So his emphasis is not to pay attention to the symbols, but to our reaction in the dream, to what we decide to do, to our emotions, behavior. And as since I've started looking at dreams more through that perspective, it showed me the patterns I have in real life, and it helped me change them.
Mm.
And I think that's so fascinating because it gives you a window into your unconscious patterns.
Mm.
Yeah, I find it
So
amazing.
cool. Like, I'm wondering if you could share an example. Do you have one that wouldn't feel too vulnerable to share with everyone?
So, okay, let me think. Because I've been working a lot on my dreams this week,
Yeah.
and I've tested things, working with my dreams and EFT to try to change the patterns. So let me think. Yeah, so there is a pattern I have in my dreams that I can never pay for things. I never have enough money.
Mhm.
So I already know that by myself, but it made it even more, seeing it in the dream made it even more real for me, or it gave me more awareness of what was happening when I have to pay for something and the guilt that come and the frustration.
Mhm.
So seeing it happening again and again in the dream, I got a bit exhausted by it, and I decided, okay, I'm gonna do some work. So then this past week, I've been testing doing EFT on the pattern I see in the dream, and I've done that, and now I'm starting having dreams where I am receiving more money or people are giving me money. And I've done that for a week and I've changed so many of my patterns. My dreams are directly showing me the changes, and that's so amazing. I wish I had
Yeah.
my other dreams coming to me right now that have changed, but there's so many things where I used to not be able to do something.
Yeah.
I have one where I had for a year recurring dreams of people entering my house, other places where there was no lock,
Mhm.
or they just intruded all the time.
Mhm.
And I've been doing EFT this week, and I had a dream where someone tried to enter, but there was a lock and they couldn't get in. And it's
Oh,
like, oh my God.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I
So
love
I just
that.
love doing that, working from the dream, finding your unconscious patterns, and then doing EFT on it. It's amazing. And then you
Okay.
get direct feedback, so you know it's
Yeah.
working. Because in real
Yeah.
life, you can't really see sometimes, not immediately that what you're doing is working, that the inner work and the changes are happening. But with dream, it's like automatic, like,
Yeah.
wow, look, it's changing.
Yeah. It's a confirmation. Okay. I love this.
Yeah.
I want to just for the audience. EFT is emotional freedom technique, which is tapping. I'd use tapping. Some of my clients use tapping, and I love it. It's amazing. But I'm curious, once you figure out the pattern from your dream, what are you doing as your okay, so let me just explain to everybody. So for those people who aren't familiar with tapping, you find this specific meridian points on your like your head, your face, your collarbone, under your arm. There's one on the side of your hand. But you tap on these meridian points while you speak different mantras and things out loud. Okay. And the science behind it, I don't really know, but I know there is science behind it, but it works. Okay. So it helps shift your mind. It gets to the subconscious. So my question is, what do you do once you get the patterns unlocked from your dream, and how do you translate that into EFT?
Mm. So first you look at the dream and you see how did I behave during this situation? And is that a pattern I have in my life? Do I tend to act like this in certain situation? A lot of times the answer is yes. So what I personally do, because with EFT, you have to create a script where you change the story. You go from what you're feeling right now, what you're experiencing, to changing it to a story that opens up to something different and maybe a bit more hopeful or
Mhm,
positive.
mhm,
And I find that really hard to do on yourself. Uh, so personally, I use ChatGPT. So I will just say what I've noticed in my dream, the behavior I had, and then I will ask to create a script in 3 rounds. And in the second round, to say this isn't the whole story, because I used to do EFT with a therapist, and she would say this isn't the whole story. Then she would change the story,
mhm.
and to have the third round introducing a more positive story to create change within myself. And I think this is very helpful because, yeah, doing it on your own, the script, is very hard to imagine a different story. But
Yeah.
like this, you can do it very easily and quite fast.
Wow, I
I
love
hope
that. It's a
that's
great
helpful.
idea. No, that's a great idea because I tend to like if I have something that's really emotional that I'm doing EFT on, like let's say it was a money thing, like I never have enough money, I can't make money, money's always running away, people are taking money from me, nothing's ever happening, blah blah. Like if I was doing this script like that and going for 15 minutes, and then needing to shift, sometimes the shift is the harder part. Like, well, I'm at
Yes.
the end of the story, or this might be possible too. Maybe I could make money, maybe I could bring more money in. Like, it's a little bit harder to get behind. At least I mean, for certain things it might be, for depending on how the block is or whatever. But I love that you use these two things in tandem. That's so cool. Like figuring out, using the dreams, figuring out the patterns, the emotional, like you said, like how Dr. Sparrow said, the reactions in the dream and like the emotional piece. And then for you specifically, like the money thing and the intrusion of your home, like, and then being able to like tap that through and then shift it. And then all of a sudden your dreamings are different. You're changing your subconscious mind. Like it's crazy. Like, but it's not like it's just science, like how your brain works.
Yeah, I'm shocked by the changes I've seen in just a week or two of doing it 1 hour daily. My dreams are completely different, and even in myself, I feel so much more calm because I've it helped me tap into really deep subconscious belief. And what I do too is as I'm tapping, if I notice some of the more positive sentence are giving me a little bit of resistance, then I'll work on that one next. So there's always a new one.
Yeah.
It's almost like a web, you
Yeah.
work on one and then you start to notice all these other ones. So it's almost like the dream is a first entrance
Yeah.
or first window into some belief, and then you can keep working on the web of all the other belief.
Yeah, I love this. This is so cool. The one thing I was thinking about was like I used to have this recurring dream that I was still married to my ex-husband who was my abuser for 20 years. So after I was not in the relationship anymore, years passed, I would have this recurring dream that he would refuse to sign the papers. And I would literally be like, I don't want to be married to you anymore. I need you to sign the papers. It was like this, like, it was so frustrating. I guess that's probably the thing. It's like so frustrating, right? But it was weird because like he had already signed the papers. Like
Hmm.
I wasn't still, that wasn't, so there was still some theme that I hadn't explored.
Mm-hmm. Mm,
of some frustration, maybe with myself, or frustration with him, or frustration with something, right? That wasn't either getting done, wasn't coming to completion. Or now that I'm like thinking about it, it's probably something like that. But then I could have used that once I had figured out what the pattern was and started doing some tapping on that of feeling helpless or feeling
right.
powerless or whatever that might be. And then maybe in the next time I go into the dream, or however many times, maybe the papers are signed finally, right?
I think so. I think it would have definitely worked. Whether you would have, tried to reimagine the dream and change it from your imagination or tapping, I think you
Yeah.
would have definitely be able to change the story.
Yeah, either one. I'm glad we have talked about this because now I have these tools. So anybody listening who is familiar with tapping can now try to utilize this. Anybody who isn't maybe familiar with tapping can do that just general symbolic daydream kind of exercise that you mentioned too,
Mm.
which is really cool. Like I can't wait to try this now because I'm like, ooh, what can I do? Like, because if I can't control my dreams in a lucid dream, then maybe I can control my dreams in my waking state, and then the result will change in my dream. That's what I would.
Yeah, exactly. Because what I've noticed, especially when I was trying to have lucid dreams and I was meditating at that time, I noticed as if dreams and reality started to blend. So images from the dream were coming in my reality, and images from the reality were coming in my dreams, and it felt as if it wasn't two separated things, but they were interconnected. So when you work on one, it influenced the other.
Yeah, I definitely, and I believe, I'm guessing this is true, but because I'm not the dream expert, right? But the reticular activating system in your brain that's focusing on specific things, right? Like if it's in your waking moment and you've noticed something, then it gets cataloged back here, like, oh, that maybe that's important. I mean, your brain is taking in billions of bits of information all the time, and something has to filter it all out, or we would go haywire, like I don't know, it would not be a good thing. So there's a reason for that part of our brain to help filter out the things that aren't as important. But my guess is when you're dreaming, the brain is still like, oh, remember that weird um, person you saw out with the crazy hat or whatever, and then all of a sudden it's in your dream, And you're
Yeah.
like, I wasn't really paying attention to that, but maybe noticed it, but then it showed up in the dream. So.
Yeah. We definitely process our days through the dreams.
Yeah, it's weird. I know it's so weird, but it's so fascinating. I love it. Okay, so tell me, there was one other question I was going to ask you. Oh, for healing purposes. Okay, so like if someone is really struggling, let's say they've experienced a lot of abuse or trauma, and you have some experience with this too. What would you
Mm.
say in, let's say they are having like crazy wild dreams or things that are really like waking up in a cold sweat or and tears, like, because that's happened before too, where your emotions are just taking over because of the dream. How would you suggest people start to work with their dreams to, because I know, like you said, it can ruin your whole day. Like
Mhm.
sometimes I have woken up from dreams of like my boyfriend doing something like cheating on me or something like that and be angry
Yeah.
awake, like looking at him like, I'm like, this is not fair. He's not done anything wrong. And then I just had this dream that felt so real to me. And
Hmm.
then like after like an hour, I'm like, okay, this is not real. This was not a reality. Same thing if something bad happens or, whatever. So what do you think is the best way to approach it?
First is to not avoid them. Although that's very tempting, especially when they're very uncomfortable. Like personally, I had a lot of dreams about sexual abuse, and I wanted to not look at them at all. Um, and that was always a dreams I was not writing down. So I would say, even though it's very tempting, the first thing is to not run away from them, but look at them and write them down. And then there's a lot of things we can do, but especially with nightmares, one technique that people use and that I use as well is to find the help in the dream. That's something I learned from Dr. Leslie Ellis. So she invites the person to re-enter the dream and to find the help. And it can be an object, it can be even the sky, it can be someone, it can be anything in the scenery. Sometimes it's not even something that was already in the dream, but as you're imagining yourself back in the dream, you can see something that is helpful. And to enter that dream image and feel its support within you. And I always see how people shift from finding the help. It's it's like accessing almost like an energy, like your higher self or something.
Mm.
It feels calming. And from there, you can explore the other part of the dream. And what I find is if you have, for example, a scary character in your dream, is to then enter this character and see things from their perspective. Because what you discover a lot of times is that the characters that were persecuting you or were very scary, they were like a 5 years old child part of you that was just trying to get your attention. So a lot of time, the things that are scary in your dream, they're not trying to scare you, they're trying to help you. That's why I discovered
Mm.
that was so fascinating. So it's also why we shouldn't be afraid of our
Mm.
nightmares
Mhm.
or bad dreams because they are trying to help us. And I think
Mhm.
when we understand that, it's a bit easier to work with them. I think that's what helped me personally to shift my view of my dreams and to not run away from them is realizing even the nightmares are trying to help me.
Yeah.
Even the bad characters are trying to kill me, they
Right.
are trying to help me. And there
Yeah.
are parts of me that have been abandoned or rejected and that are trying to get my attention to be reintegrated. So re-entering the characters is very helpful to see things from their perspective.
That's so interesting that you said that because in a dream just popped into my mind that I had not too long ago where I was on this gravel road and I was running away from a giant, like a
Uh,
scary female giant. Like she was humongous and she was chasing me. And I remember running and running as fast as I could. And then I thought, well, because my legs are really short, but a giant's legs are really big, right?
mm,
So I'm like, she's going to catch me before I can get out of here. Like, I cannot outrun this giant. And I remember realizing that, and I just had to surrender. And I turned
mm.
around and I looked and I was like, if you're gonna eat me because I don't know, like I didn't know what else to do. And she laughed and she said, I'm
Yeah,
not trying to eat you. I need your help. And I was like, I was like, whoa, like I was sitting here running from this thinking this was a threat. And I just needed to face my fear.
exactly.
And she just needed my help. So, isn't that
Exactly.
so funny?
I love that you had that in your dream because it's exactly that, even when you re-enter the dream and you work with them. So you give an amazing
Yeah.
example. I love it.
Yeah. It was really an eye-opening dream because I just remember the feeling of like just utter fear, like I'm gonna die. Like I was like, if you're
Mm.
gonna eat me, just eat me. And she was like, I don't want to eat you. I need your help. I was like, okay, all right, how can I help you?
Yeah.
So,
See, in dream work, we would emphasize this behavior because that was very courageous
mhm.
from you to turn and face this giant.
Yeah.
And we would ask, is it something you're doing now in real life? Are you facing some fears that you've had?
Mhm.
Or is there something shifting in you? You know, that
Yeah.
this behavior is so interesting, and that's definitely something we would focus on,
Yeah.
and even just encouraging you for it
Mhm. Mhm.
and noticing it because it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, thank you. I just that what because I was thinking about like scary figures when you said that, and I was like, oh my gosh, I did have that one, and I remember it wasn't too long ago, so maybe I'm like, standing my ground and like not being afraid. So I'm happy to hear that. Well, good.
Yeah.
Okay. So, was there anything else that you wanted to share with my audience that you think would be important just to kind of leave anybody with? Anything I didn't ask about already?
I did before, but then I think you kind of just started to go into it. But I guess for me, it's the idea that because you have a sentence in your Instagram that I loved that I saw today, and you said that you realized living wasn't the end; it was the beginning when it came to your uh, bad marriage.
Mhm.
And with nightmares, as I said, they can come after everything bad happened, and now they come to help you process things. And So wait, I forgot where I was going with that.
That's okay. Well, I was when you were saying that, I was thinking about how you said earlier that like when you have the space, then the emotions start to come up, and then your subconscious starts to speak to you because a lot of people suppress their feelings. Like they suppress
Yeah,
it when they're going through it because it's too hard to deal with it in that moment.
exactly. So the dreams are an invitation to not suppress anymore and to feel the emotions and to feel what's happening within you.
Yeah.
And yeah, not run away from your past, especially if it's CPTSD nightmares.
Hmm.
And I think for me, what I wish I knew at the time when I was going through it is that there is people who work with dreams, there is help available, or there is, it's important to understand your dreams, I think, and not because in our society we think dreams are just useless, or they're not important, they're just images, we brush them off, but they can offer so much guidance. We can, because one thing I'm thinking of too is how you can ask your dreams before sleeping for guidance, for help with your daily problem. And I guess, so what I want to say is dreams are not just fantasy images,
Hmm.
they are our alive energy and they connect us even to our higher self. So they can guide us, they can help us process emotions, they can tell us, oh, this is a better option, or this might be a better option for you. There's so much work that can be done with them, and when you work with them, they become your companion, and you feel less alone too, I think.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much for all of your insight, your tips, the techniques that you shared. Like, this has been so fun,
Yeah.
and really informative and helpful because a lot of times I think people do just think, oh, a dream's just a dream, or it's here just to annoy me, or like, oh, my ex is coming up in my dreams again, and now I have a headache as soon as I wake up, and now my day is ruined. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm,
using this for your benefit instead of treating it like it's some annoyance that it
yes.
can actually help you move forward in your healing. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Before we end, I always ask my guests, this is a surprise question. What's something about you that maybe people in your immediate circle know, but that a lot of other people don't know? Something interesting or something you like to do or a habit or something that people don't know about?
I I think I'm just passionate about inner work, and I think that's just the people who know me,
Mm-hmm.
or my partner at least, sees me working on myself all the time. And and I don't think people that are not in my immediate surrounding knows that, but I just love transformation, I guess. And yes, I don't know if I can think of something more special or
Oh, it doesn't have to
different,
be
but
anything. Like I've had so many random things that people share, like that they do fencing or
uh
they have a fear of tiny holes. Like people share the funniest things on my podcast. So, like one people probably didn't know about me is that I love spiders, right? That's something like
oh
I
yes, definitely. Yeah, that would be a surprising one. Yeah, I think I'm just so focused on just,
healing.
changing myself. That's it.
I love that. I love that. That is a wonderful thing. And I'm so happy that you're out here doing the work that you're doing and helping other people because there are so many methods and so many modalities
Mm.
that people aren't aware of. And if this can help bring awareness to that and bring people to you, then great. So tell everybody what you're working on, where they can find you, how they can connect with you.
So you can find me on Instagram. I don't know how to call the bar in the bottom actually in
Well,
English.
in the show notes, I will put the handle of your Instagram. So if you
Okay.
want me to, I can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can find me on Instagram with Oneiraya or on my website oneiraya.com. And I mostly guide people with a dream, help them heal. And so that's what I really want to keep developing right now is helping more people with their dreams and more people connect with their inner guidance. And I'm also looking to start dream work groups. I
Mm.
really, because personally, that helped me so much to find communities of people who also want to talk about dreams. And I noticed that in dream communities, people can get closer because the conversations are so much deeper. So that's something I also want to do is bring people together and talk about their dreams.
I love that. Okay. I also have another connection. I'm going to hook you up with a friend of mine who's also been on this podcast, who I think you would really enjoy talking to. And I'll share that with you later. But
Oh,
thank you
thank you.
again. Thank you again. I really appreciate you being here, the work that you're doing, and all the like amazing stuff that you shared today. So thanks for being here. And you guys go check out her Instagram and her website. I will include that in the show notes at the bottom of this episode. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.